welcome back to my YouTube channel. In last video, we looked at the reasons why one should consider moving to Canada. So in this video, we are going to look at some of the possible ways if someone considered to move to Canada. The options that I'm going to share with you today are the most common options when it comes to moving to Canada. So the first option in our list is Express Entry. It is the fastest and the most popular immigration program. Once you are selected through this program, you can expect your permanent residency of Canada in less than 6 months. And you might be thinking, what are your chances to get to Canada? Let me tell you, just in the year 2022 alone, Canada is looking for almost 500,000 permanent residents. So you can calculate your chances are pretty high. You have three major options. The first one is Canadian Experience Class. The second one is Federal Skilled Worker Program. And the third one is Federal Skilled Trades Program. The Canadian Experience Class is mostly for the skilled workers who are already living and working and gained experience in Canada. They classify the jobs based on the technical skills involved. It's called NOC codes, which is National Occupation Classification Codes. It has different levels, which is level 0, level A, level B, level C, and level D. Level 0 generally means for managers, for people who are in the administrative levels. And level A is basically the professional jobs, which is doctors, engineers, accountants, etc. Level C is for supervisors and also for technicians. Level C is basically for operators or any jobs which has less technical skills involved. And then comes the level D jobs, which is basically for the general laborers, where you don't need to imply a lot of skills, but it takes a lot of physical effort. Those kind of jobs are denoted by level D. In order for somebody to be eligible under the Canadian Experience Class program, one should have at least 1 year of experience in the NOC level B jobs or higher, which is A or O. And then comes the Federal Skilled Worker Program. And this program predominantly supports the workers overseas. Because of the low population in the country, they lack skills in big time. So every now and then, they look for specific skills. At that time, they look to bring foreign workers just to fill the gap in Canada. And in this program, they not only look at your experience, they also look at your education, and there are so many other factors. And the third one we are going to look at is the Federal Skilled Trades Program. This program helps people who are qualified in skilled trade. And in order for somebody to be eligible for this program, they should have a valid job offer from a Canadian employer, or they should have a certificate of qualification. And that sums up the express entry options. Believe me, it's bigger and larger than you think. And coming back to your other options, let's move on to the next one. So the next one we are going to look at is the Provincial Nominee Program. I think the title itself has a better meaning, Provincial Nominee Program, which means that you have to be nominated by one or more provinces. This program basically recruits skilled labor for each and every provinces. Guess what? And this year, also Canada plans to bring in more than 100,000 new immigrants through this program, through PNP. And if you are somebody who's looking to get selected through the PNP program, your chances are high. Just keep an eye out on the provinces that you're interested. So how this works? It's basically simple. So how this works? Once you're creating your Express Entry profile, you have to send your interest to all the provinces. And do not forget to include the right NOC codes based on your experiences. Each province has their own criteria when it comes to recruiting candidates. And if they're interested, they'll send you an invite to apply. And if that particular candidate is also interested in the same province, he can go ahead and apply. He will get an additional 600 points to his Express Entry profile. But there are certain terms and conditions that he should comply. Like he should find a job in that province, and he should be living in the province for at least 3 years or 5 years. The terms and conditions totally differs, and it varies from each provinces. Sometimes the processing time of PNP for each provinces differs. And some provinces can charge you an amount of around $1,500, while the other provinces can still do it for free. And that's everything about PNP. And I know it's a little tricky. And don't worry, in my next videos, I'll provide a detailed clarification and explanation on each of the options that I mentioned in this video. And just to make sure that you don't miss any of my videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, and let's continue to the other options. So the next option we are going to look at is work permit. It might sound like an easiest and a most straightforward option, but when it comes to Canada, it's not. The most easiest and the less complicated way to come to Canada is to get a PR before coming to Canada. And not for everybody, it's a feasible method. Sometimes we have to look for alternatives, and it's one of those times. It's basically going to Canada on a temporary work permit. Unfortunately, when coming to work permit, it's not something you can do it by yourself. You need some professional help, and also you need some support from some Canadian employers. And yes, you need to obtain a sponsorship from a Canadian employer in order to apply for your work permit. And don't worry, it's not something you have to worry about. It's the company's responsibility if they are willing to provide you a sponsorship to work for them in Canada. Upon receiving the LMIA document or the number from the government, you can go ahead and apply for your work permit along with all the other documents. And normally you will get your open or closed work permit for 3 years. And in some cases, in some applications, they might still give it for 2 years. It totally depends on applications. And the process time can take little more than 6 months to a year. And then comes the most favorite program from the government's perspective. Approximately more than 2.5 million people came to Canada as students in study permits from the year 2016 to 2020. Now you know why I said it's the government's favorite program. You're whooping $22 billion. You heard it right, $22 billion. That is the amount that's been contributed to the revenue from all these students just for the 5 years. Now you know one thing. If you're applying to come to Canada as a student, you will never be rejected. The doors are wide open. The only defect that one would find from this program is that they're not comfortable in investing a large sum amount of money to the Canadian colleges or universities. I know the investment is a little high. I came to Canada as a student, and my 2-year program, it cost me approximately 40,000 Canadian dollars. And that's just the tuition fees alone. The travel expenses, accommodation, food, and all the other utilities, it does come to an amount. And also during your school, you are restricted to work for only 20 hours a week. You won't have a lot of time to work, but still you are not allowed to work more than the 20 hours. But still, this is the most easiest and the quickest way if you are planning to come to Canada. The process is really straightforward. You have to find a course, and then you have to find the right universities for that course. Once you get an invitation from the college or the university that you applied, along with the invitation, submit all the other necessary documents to the immigration and apply for your study permit. And the processing time is less than a month. And once you receive your study permit, you can come to Canada and pursue your studies at the respective universities or colleges. And after successfully completing your 2-year program, you will be presented with a 3-year work permit. In that 3 years time, try to get at least 1 year work experience in a NOC Level B job or higher, which is NOC Level A or NOC Level O. As I explained earlier in this video about the NOC level jobs. After you gain 1 year experience in the NOC level B jobs or higher, you are eligible to apply for Canadian PR under the Canadian Experience class. Then apply for your program with all the necessary documents, and then in 6 months or less, you would have become the Canadian permanent resident holder. The process is simple, but the investment is a little high. Next one in my list is family class sponsorship. This program is suitable only for people who already have families living in Canada, or at least a permanent resident holder of Canada. You can bring your family to Canada to live, to study, to work once you become the permanent resident holder. You can register to this program if you are at least 18 years old and a permanent resident holder of Canada. And the fees range from $1,050 Canadian dollars per application. And also the processing time can take place to 20 to 24 months, which is at approximately 2 years. So who you can sponsor? You can sponsor your parents, you can sponsor your grandparents, you can sponsor your spouse, you can sponsor your brothers, sisters, any blood relations. And then the next process in my list is visitor visa. Not everybody who's going to Canada want to work or study in Canada. And there are people who wanted to just roam around and come back to their country. And for those people, it's a temporary visa, but you're not allowed to work or study with it. And the only good thing about applying for a visitor visa in Canada is that you will be getting a visa which is valid for 10 years. And you are allowed to stay in Canada for 6 months every time you visit for the 10-year time period. And the last and the final option that I want to cover with you today is the business immigration. It's basically a federal entrepreneurial program which allows you to come to Canada only if you're interested to invest in the country. Invest meaning if you're interested to start a business in Canada, or to expand your business which is already existing in your home country. By doing that, you will create jobs and also contribute to the country's economy. But in order to be eligible, one should show that they have a net worth of 300,000 Canadian dollars, or at least intend to bring the 300,000 Canadian dollars into the country. And the good thing about this program is once you're qualified, you can even become the Canadian permanent resident holder. There are certain terms and conditions, such as you have to show some experience that you have been running a business back in your country. And all these criteria does not apply for Quebec. Quebec province has their own business entrepreneurial program. And guys, that sums up all the ways to move to Canada. And before I sign off, I'm really thankful for everyone who patiently watched this video. And I'm glad that if someone's being benefited from this video. And even when I was talking about the visitor visa, and I have to move to a different location before I start recording. And anyway, thank you for watching. And before you guys leave, if you can hit the like and the subscribe button, it would mean so much to me. And if you are somebody who's thinking that my videos are long, I have a solution for you. You can actually check out my Instagram page where I make short and precise reels. And also do not forget to check it out and hit the follow button over there. Until I meet you guys from my next video, see you guys, take care, thumbs up.